Hello and welcome to the Optimize Show. I am David Mammano, your host. Optimize is a part of the Emerge TV network. So excited that you're watching today. Appreciate you. Today I have a great guest, Amy Gurske. Amy, hi. Welcome to the Optimize Show.
It's so good to be here.
Well, we're so happy you're here. You are a spark of energy and really doing some great things in the world of workplace culture and talent optimization. Yeah. So excited to have you sitting here. You are a new founder of a tech startup called sayhii.
Yeah.
With two I's. .io.
Yep.
sayhii.io. Mm-hmm. So we definitely are going to dive into what that is all about, because from what I know so far, I'm loving it, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. But let's dig a little bit into the journey.
Okay.
What brought Amy to this point?
All accidents and coincidences, to be completely honest. The journey was not scripted, and I love to say that because so many people have this idea that this is what I'm going to do, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to be this. And the truth is, when we're just present where we are, the most beautiful things end up coming from it. So nothing about my journey has been planned or predictable, but I wouldn't change it. I spent 17 years consulting for global clients, and every single job that I've had has been based on a need that existed that just wasn't solved. And I would say that sayhii is about the same. So my journey has literally been chasing needs. When is there a need? How do we fix it? What is the solution? What do we do? So that's really been my journey. How can I help? How can I serve? I love it.
Now, you've been to some pretty big companies, and you have some great experience. I know you traveled the whole country, if not a lot of the world, too.
Yeah.
And so I know your story a little bit, but part of what brought you to where you are today is you felt like you had reached a point in the company where you couldn't go any further. Therefore, you started to feel like you were falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
And so tell us about that and then how it led to starting your company.
Yeah, the falling through the cracks, it's interesting. I spent 17 years with an organization, and I loved it. I loved every single minute. But at the end of those 17 years, there was a position that I was really, really wanting to go for. It was a new position, never existed. I had the skills and the background to do it. And when I had asked my boss at that time, like, hey, can I go for this job? I've been doing this job 10 years. He looked at me and he said, you're a top producer. I can't let you go.
Wow.
And so
it's kind of a different type of ceiling. Like there's the glass ceiling and did it have to do with you being a woman, or you just think it was just like a different type of glass ceiling? Like I can't have you leave me.
Yeah, I think it was a combination. I was the only one doing global consulting at that time. And so I was asked to stay on the team another 3 or 4 years. At that time, I was in my early 30s and sitting there thinking, I've done this 10 years. I deserve the opportunity to go for this role. And I understood the needs of the company needed me to stay where I was, but essentially it was putting the needs of the company over my own needs of personal development and growth and feeling that sense of purpose. After you do something for 10 years, you love what you do, but you also want to be challenged with the next thing. And that's what I wasn't getting from that organization. So I did end up leaving after 17 years when honestly I thought I was going to retire there.
Wow. So that is a great culture lesson, what not to do, right? I mean, they blocked you from growing.
Yeah.
And therefore they lost you completely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, your boss wanted you to stay, for his own, kind of selfish purposes. He needed you, which you could have been like, oh, what a nice compliment. But at the same time, you're like, but I want to grow. I want, I want to take on the next challenge. So, so there's a good lesson there. Like, a good culture, good leadership, part of optimizing their talent is allowing them to grow sometimes past where you may personally want them to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And the key of that is listening. We all want to feel heard. So when I say like, hey, I want to do this, I want to go for this, this is a perfect fit for me. And your boss looks at you and says, yeah, it's totally a perfect fit, but, it ends all conversation. So if he had listened to what my needs actually were, which was continuing to grow and develop, we would have been in a very different place. So it really stems from just actively listening and being able to acknowledge that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you said, that he stated all these great things, then he said, but.
Yeah.
And I think as a leader, you need to learn that nothing usually good comes after the word but, you know?
No, it's always the excuse, the reason. So as an
Yeah.
employee, you're sitting on the other side of that conversation saying, this isn't going to go where I want it to go. This isn't going where I thought it was going to go. And
Yeah.
that is really disheartening.
Yeah. I took a little side note here. As you know, I took some improv comedy classes back in, my day. And we always would learn to use the word and, because the word but, kind of deletes everything before what was said before the word but. But if you use the word and, you're still agreeing with the person, but also offering some other insights to where it could go.
Yeah.
So maybe the conversation, or might have changed for you if he said, "I totally see you in this position, and you would thrive in it, and I would love to have you for just like another year,
Exactly.
to help me shore up some of the great things going on here,
Yeah.
And then let's explore that." You might have been like, "Okay, all right,
Right.
there's a plan, right?"
Right. And we can roll some of these into your current responsibility, and we could have you work with this team and partner, or like there's so many options there, but really shut down that conversation.
Yeah. Well, bad for them, good for the rest of the world, because you felt marginalized, you felt like you were falling through the cracks, your words, and then that inspired you to start this new company,
Yeah.
sayhii.
Yeah.
With two eyes.
With two
Keep it one says, with two eyes. It's all about the branding.
Of course.
So please tell us about sayhii. I know enough about it to be dangerous, but tell us just what you're doing to make the world a better place, especially the workplace world.
Yeah. So sayhii does a really good job of doing what my previous boss didn't do, which is listen. At the heart of sayhii, we're trying to diagnose every single unique person's needs and then get them reconnected to actually address their own needs so that they can, A, stay in the workplace, B, be productive, and C, be positive and happy. So we start by listening to each and every employee, removing that bias, and then reconnecting humans to address their own needs.
So how do you do that?
We do it by asking a question a day. It's actually
Just one
quite
question a
simple.
day?
Just one question. So 252 questions a year can actually tell us a lot about individuals, but it comes from the strength of the questions and really flipping this engagement or experience world on its head and saying, it's not what the organization necessarily wants to ask you, but it's about what you need to be asked. So sayhii follows the journey of the individual instead of this preset organizational flow of questions they want to know and they want responses to. We're asking you a question and we don't even know what question we're going to ask you the next day until you answer today. So we follow the journey of the individual to get to their individual needs, but then all of the data that we can provide back to the organization is all of that engagement and experience data. What can the organization do to make this person more productive and more positive, knowing that a lot of that ownership is actually on the individual, but we have to empower them to do different, which is why we listen to reconnect them to actually solve their own needs. So, for instance, you're so stressed out. You woke up this morning, couldn't find your car keys, your blazer was ripped in 3 spots, and your shirt had a stain on it. And you're immediately like, oh, I can't go to work. And then you show up at work, you're all stressed, you're on your first client call, it's not going great. And everyone's like, what is wrong with Dave today? The organization can't say, we could fix your blazer, we can get you a new shirt, we can do all of this. That was stress from outside the workforce. So we have to understand that individuals have a lot on their plates right now. Organizations can do their part, but individuals have to own their own part, which is really monitoring, measuring, and understanding how to impact their stress, their work-life balance, their capacity, and really learning healthy habits to improve their own performance at the workplace, but in turn, it will affect their personal life as well.
Amazing. So, so the question, like, what's an example of a question?
I trust my team to take care of my responsibilities when I am on vacation, or I feel the need to check my phone when I'm on vacation, or I can check out and not look at my email when I'm on vacation. Something like that, along those lines of understanding, are we able to set boundaries when we're leaving the office? Do we have trust in the people that when we go on vacation, that everything that we need to do and the people we care about, our customers, our team, whoever, is taken care of?
So let's say Susie says, no, or say, yes, I do feel the need to check my phone when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
So management will get this data. Will they know that it's Susie, or is it more anonymous, or do you look for data trends within departments, or how does this whole thing work?
And you just get me to smile by saying trends, Dave.
Yeah.
That's it. No, we do. We anonymize all of the data. One thing we do know.
So Susie won't be singled out.
No, we cannot weaponize data. If we deliver back the questions and the specific answer, then someone's ability to go up to Susie and say, well, what do you mean you have to check your phone when you go on vacation?
Yeah, because then Susie's not going to answer those questions anymore.
Exactly. She's going to stop answering. She's going to change her answer. That's why a lot of these platforms out there that say, like, Dave is a 2.5 out of 10 engaged. Well, what are you going to do? You're just going to change the way that you answer questions. So we know that we need to protect the anonymity of everybody responding, or else they're not going to respond accurately. So we pass back anonymized and aggregated data to the organization. So what they could say is, we don't know that it's Susie, but what we're seeing is that individuals on this team or in this department, if it's more than 5 people, are struggling to feel like they can set boundaries where they don't have to work in their off time. Now HR can come in and say, like, what do we need to provide? Either training to the team, training to the leader, changing our benefits to better support this. What do we need to do to be able to help these teams succeed when we know that maybe trust is lower or work-life balance is struggling? So we're trying to really open up the door to HR to do what HR does best, which is engage with their people and make sure that they're also solving the needs that the organization can to optimize every single employee.
That's amazing. And, I know part of your presentation is that iceberg. A lot of times we're just seeing the very tip of issues going on in the workplace.
Yeah.
And there's so much more.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is sayhii will, quote unquote, expose the trends that HR and leadership in general maybe just completely missing, have no idea about. Could be some mental health issues, could be some trends within the organization that they're just completely clueless about.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we're hearing so much about recently, really since the Great Resignation kicked off, is that people are not staying, and if they are staying, they're not productive. And so the goal is to optimize both of those, make sure that people do want to stay in the organization by feeling a sense of belonging. A sense of belonging doesn't come by raising your salary or by offering you more snacks in the kitchen. A sense of belonging is something that we cultivate through conversation. And that's why our tagline at sayhii is better conversations, better results. The more we get people talking, the more engaged they are, which is really what organizations are looking for, the bigger the sense of belonging is. And to get there and understand what people need to be talking about, you do have to look below the iceberg. So what's at the top of the iceberg? That's the stuff that HR can change. The environment, pay and benefits, but what's underneath the iceberg is the level of trust in the organization. What level of autonomy do people have over their own workload? How is communication? Are people getting the right support that they need based on their own unique individual needs? That's what we look at. We look at the undercurrent of the organization to help identify what we need to change at the top, but that what individuals need to change at the bottom as well.
Amazing. I think of all the incredible resources that are out there today to help organizations optimize, maximize their team, their talent. I'm going back 50, 60 years, grandpa laying bricks, just went to work, laid bricks, came home, right?
Yep.
And you got a problem, too bad, Sam.
Yep.
Lay some more bricks, right? And Sam, if he had some mental health issues or was having a bad day, too bad, right?
Right.
And today's world, there's so many more resources to help people be their best at work, which is wonderful, and I think people appreciate that. But you said this in the beginning, but the person, the talent, the employee, if you will, they also have to be proactive in maximizing their own superpowers at work as well.
Right.
So it is a win. It's kind of, it has to be a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And that's why I heard someone say that sayhii acts as an executive coach for every single individual, and that really is the job of sayhii, to give you something to do, something to try, something to work on in a context of how you fit within the whole entire organization. Every single person, we've talked about this, has different needs, so everybody's action plan is going to look completely different. What do you need today? Maybe you need someone to tell you that you're doing a great job. What do I need today? Maybe I need someone to show me how to use Excel. We don't know. So until we ask, we just don't know. So we have these blanket assumptions. And what we're finding is this access to information in the outside world, outside of office, is people are looking at these videos that are talking about mental health. People are looking at these videos that are talking about, how to beat addiction. People are talking about how to have more productive conversations at work. But how do we do that consistently for every single person in the organization? It has to be better organized. And that's really what we're aiming to do.
That's awesome. And what I'm getting from this is that you can teach me how to use Excel.
I wouldn't go that far. No, I'm just kidding. I would love to show you a pivot table or 50.
We'll do that offline. I love that.
Of course,
Thank you. Yeah.
Of course.
Last question.
Yeah.
With you being, in your role, you probably have worked with companies and you could see some best practices that you really admire.
Yeah.
That's helping people just optimize everything from hiring, engagement, workplace design, coworker design, right? That leads to better retention. What are some of your favorite strategies that you've seen the companies are doing to just really get people to speed to work in the morning?
I think it's a mixed bag and it really depends on industry. What I'm seeing as being pretty consistent is transparency. People want transparency. They want communication. They want to know what's going on. Whether it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, they want to know. So organizations that are communicating well and often and consistently are leading the way. Just by saying, here's where we are, here's what's going on. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. People just want to know.
Yeah.
And so organizations that are openly communicating in ways that people can hear. So maybe that's not just posting an article on an intranet, but maybe it's sending out a Slack message saying, here's an update on this, or having individual team leaders deliver messages on calls. You have to figure out what works for your people, how to best support them, but over communicate, make it consistent, make it honest, and make it transparent. And those are the companies that are pulling ahead.
I can't agree more. And I've seen so many examples, including myself with my previous company, is sharing the good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
And not trying to shoulder it all on your own as a CEO or leadership team.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you do share the ugly, you're gonna get some great suggestions.
Absolutely.
From the team.
Yes.
From the new hire on up on how to fix it.
Right.
And things that you may never have, like, oh my God, never, because you can't see the forest through the trees.
Exactly.
Maybe somebody is brand new into the organization, somebody just out of college, maybe they may have a great idea that you never thought of because you've been stuck in your way of thinking for 20 years, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
And guess what it does for that person? Shocker. It gives them a sense of belonging. It gives them a pat on the back. Great, my idea was valued. Somebody heard me. Again, gets back to this listening. When we're open and honest, the amount of ideas that generate are so much more. And then you can recognize that individual for bringing something to the table. Guess what? They want to speed to work the next day.
Right.
So it's really about communicating often, openly, transparently, and letting others do the same and recognizing them when they bring something into the table that's benefiting everyone.
I love it. I could talk about this forever. This is great stuff. Amy Gurske, thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. It was so good to be here.
And wishing you massive success with sayhii.
Thank you.
2 I's. sayhii.io.
Yes.
You're a brand new startup and it's already successful.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really fun to watch you grow and help you make your mark on the world. So
thank you.
Excited for you.
Well, appreciate the partnership and so good to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on the show.
You got it.
And thank you for watching another great episode of The Optimize Show. I'm Dave Mammano, your host. Many more shows to come. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, do whatever you can to make sure that you get notified when we have a new show. Have a great day.